بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. We get this question a lot nowadays, which is, what is the Islamic ruling on celebrating birthdays? And what is the Islamic ruling in participating in birthdays? Because you get invitations from people for birthdays. So before we answer a question, we need to understand that where does a practice come from is very important. For example, if I was to ask any of you here that is it permissible for a Muslim to participate in a Hindu religious ceremony, everybody would know that no, it's not. Islamically, it's not permissible for us to participate in a religious ritual of another religion, worshipping a false deity or something like this. So we already know that. But when it comes to birthdays, we hear from a lot of people that this is not a religious celebration. This is something that is just a cultural celebration. And some people say, well, invented in Europe, and some people in other areas. But we need to research this issue. The earliest mention I could find for celebration of birthdays is actually in the Torah, which is called the Old Testament, and it is currently a part of the Bible as it is printed today. So before I mention it, when I heard about this, I thought maybe they had a proof from Musa alayhi salam or Ibrahim alayhi salam, so it would be a proof for us. But in fact, when we look at Genesis 40 verse 20, we find that now it came to pass on the third day, which was the Pharaoh's birthday, and he made a feast for all his servants. So who started the tradition of birthdays, as far as we can find in historic records, is the Pharaohs, not the Anbiya, not Ibrahim alayhi salam, not Musa alayhi salam. In fact, in the Old Testament, the Torah, or the New Testament, the Injil, or the Quran, or the Zabur, we don't find a single prophet or a pious man celebrating their birthdays, only the wicked. But you could say, okay, that was something in the past and that's how it started, but it's not a religious thing today. We don't celebrate it religiously. But I'm going to ask you, what do you do on birthdays? You get cakes and you put candles and you light them and you make wishes and you blow them out. So where did all that come from? And I'm not going to guess at it. The National Geographic Society, in a research and a book that they have published called An Uncommon History of Common Things, and this is not from my perspective, these are published books you can look up yourself. When they talk about birthdays and birthday cakes, they said that ancient Greek, the pagans, idol worshippers, the ancient Greek baked round or moon-shaped honey cakes, and they were as a tribute, a religious ritual, a tribute to Artemis, the moon goddess. This was a religious practice, and the candles were lit so the moon glow can be imitated in the ritual that they did for Artemis, the moon goddess, a Greek pagan ritual. And this is where we find that lighting candles, blowing them out, making wishes, this was a way of ibadah for them. And that's why they would say, don't tell anybody about your wish, because this was a prayer they were making to a moon goddess. So when we look in history, what do we find? In reality, this was a pagan religious ritual, a worship that they did on their birthdays. They made cakes, they lit candles, and this is historically documented. And that's why, as an advice even to those Christians and Jews that may be watching these videos, we find in the earliest works of the Jewish tradition and the Christian tradition condemnation of birthday celebration as a pagan festival. And that's why Origen Adamantus, who was from 184, as they say, AD, he wrote that Christians should not only refrain from celebrating their birthdays, but should look at them with disgust, because this is a pagan ritual, religious ritual. This was even in the writings of Christians. When we look at who loves this holiday? Who is the one that sticks to it? We find in the Satanic Bible, written by Antoine Sandor Lavey. He wrote what's called the Satanic Bible, and you can find it. And he wrote in it that the highest of all holidays in the Satanic religion is the date of one's own birth. This is the most beloved, the most practiced, and the highest of the festivals of those who worship Shaitan. And what do we find in our religion in Islam? Not a single place in the Quran where any birthday is celebrated. Never in the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam or the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. Rather, we find the hadith in the Sunan of Abi Dawud, which is a Hasan hadith reported by Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who said, "Man tashabbah biqawmin fahuwa min." Whoever imitates a people, then he is from them. So when we celebrate birthdays, who are we imitating? The pharaohs, the Greeks worshipping their goddesses, or the Satan worshippers who consider this their highest holiday? And that's why when we look at the hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari, it's muttafaqun alayh, where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us, "Al-mar'u ma man ahabba." A person is with whom he loves. So on the Day of Judgment, if you want to be raised with Satan worshippers and the pharaohs and the Greek mushrikeen, khalas, birthdays are yours. But if you want to be raised with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the Sahaba and the Salihin, then birthdays are not permissible in Islam. Not to celebrate your own, not to participate in any others. This is a religious, pagan festival, a celebration that had religious connotation, and even today, the practices that are in it are still from those religious rituals. It is not permissible for Muslims to celebrate them or partake in them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Jazakumullahu khairan.